Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
And then, boom, boom.
That's excellent, man.
Come on, we're going to do it. They get going. We're going. We're going. We're going. We're going.
Yeah, let's get it on a 4-question Friday. Headed into your 4th of July weekend. This is Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. 60 years. It's really not that much to ask for at this point. The greatest franchise in American team sports history to not win a championship. Let's fix that, Kevin O'Connell. You can skull chant up at the podium there with confetti falling.
I don't think he's going to be skull chanting
Down on your head.
Didn't really
oh,
dig
he'll
that
skull chant. He'll skull chant if they win a Super Bowl. 100%.
Oh, if they win a Super Bowl, that's true, yeah.
Yes.
I'm just thinking, I didn't seem being real comfortable with the skull chant. I don't blame him one bit.
Well, I don't think he's on camera. McAfee's standing up. It was just kind of, I don't think he knew.
Yeah.
He was pretty new at the time, too. He'll get better at it.
Now he's just scolding all the time. Grocery stores.
Yes, he has scoliosis now.
Heyo.
Oh, boy. Sorry.
Anyhow, the show is presented by Surly Brewing Company and TCL. Redefine creativity with the TCL 30V 5G smartphone. Enjoy blazing fast 5G speed, an AI-powered 50-megapixel triple camera system. That's right.
Football.
And ultra-realistic, true-to-life visuals powered by Next Vision. Find out more at TCL.com. All right, boys, it's time for a little 4-question Friday here. And the first couple, we've been doing all these fun lists here. The top 20 current Vikings a few weeks ago, and then Judd's 25 greatest Vikings of all time. And then we just rolled out this week the all-time 53-man roster for the Vikings, and a bunch of listeners and viewers of the show have been sending us ideas for other lists or rankings that we can do here, because there's really no news happening, until the Vikings sign Ndamukong Suh or J.C. Treader or something. We're just having fun during the summer months, talking purple. So I've got a couple. You don't have to do full lists here. Maybe we can do those at some point, but let's start with these listener-inspired questions. Question number 1. Who is the most underrated or underappreciated Viking of all time? And I'm gonna put an asterisk on this that says it can't be someone on Judd's 25 greatest Vikings list.
Yeah. So this guy didn't make it, but I feel like so to me it feels like this question is just basically begging for a guy who got dirty, who blocked, who did things that were not sexy but were imperative to victory on Sunday. Okay. So I'm going to go with a popular name, but I feel like this guy, his talent was probably far more there than we assumed. I'm going to say Jim Kleinsasser. I think Jim Kleinsasser, because, I mean, he
hard to
played
quantify it,
tight
right?
end, H-back. He blocked his ass off. He played hurt. He played, I mean, this guy, you talk about gritty. You talk about grimy.
Football.
Jim Kleinsasser sounds gritty and grimy.
It does.
And he was, I mean, no hyperbole here, the consummate professional, too. Like, he just showed up and did a thankless job and seemed to embrace it. 2nd-round pick, but Jim Kleinsasser, to me, just jumped off the page when I thought about this.
If someone showed you a picture of Jim Kleinsasser with just sweat dripping down his face, the hair, the excessively hairy forearms, the neck roll, everything, Jim Kleinsasser would be one of the 10 names you'd guess. Like, who's this guy?
Oh, 100%.
You would land at some point on Jim Kleinsasser.
Jim Kleinsasser should have played his career at the Met, just so he could have been filthy every
He
game.
was born to play outdoors in snow and mud. Yes, blocking out front. I'll throw a couple guys at you here, and we did discuss these guys on the 53-man roster episodes. They ultimately did not make the list, but Henry Thomas, interior defensive lineman throughout the late 80s into the early and mid-90s. 8 years as a Viking, 12th on the all-time sack list. And as I said on the 53-man roster episode, one of the great Tecmo Super Bowl defensive linemen.
He was very
just
good.
very easy to just burst through the A-gap and sack the opposing team's quarterback. Can I also throw out Darren Nelson, who spent 10 years with the Vikings, doesn't really get talked about, nor should he, among the Adrian Petersons and the Chuck Foreman's, but he's 2nd in franchise history in kick return yards over 6,000 yards from scrimmage as a Viking on offense, and he led the NFL in yards per carry in 1987, a season in which the Vikings went to the NFC Championship game.
Sure.
And he's kind of an afterthought. Like, oh, yeah, Darren Nelson was that running back from the 80s. So I'm going to throw some love out to him.
All right.
One that comes to mind to me, we talked about him too on the All 53, E.J. Henderson. Now, he is unfortunately kind of known for that just absolutely gruesome leg injury against Arizona towards the later part of his career, but he was an All-Pro. He was a Pro Bowler, racked up over 750 tackles for the Vikings in his career, was just a very, very solid linebacker. Couple other guys that just came to my mind. This is more of early Declan fandom, becoming a Vikings fan, and a couple guys that I just remember that I gravitated towards early as a fan. I loved Corey Chavis. The dude picked off a ton of passes. I always loved what he did. And for whatever reason, this guy was someone, when my first ever football game I bought was Game Day 2000, which honestly, we should play that. The intro for Game Day 2000 should be the intro for Purple Daily. It is just nothing but football sounds, narrator voices, NFL beds. Maybe we should just play it one time without getting a copyright from EA Sports. But football! This dude wrapped up so many tackles for me, and he only spent 4 seasons with the Vikings. He did have a pretty good year in 2000, 2001. Kylie Wong. Linebacker Kylie Wong. Here's a good blast from the past here, okay?
You were young.
Yeah. 112 tackles in 2000, 99 tackles in 2001, spent 4 seasons with the Vikings, 274 tackles in that time. So just a little love. Is he the most underappreciated Viking of all time? Certainly not. But I just wanted to make sure the world knows my stand for Kylie Wong.
I love Kylie Wong, man.
That is, you
Great.
pulled that out of nowhere, man.
Amazing. All right, question number 2 here. Another listener-inspired list or category here. And I know, Judd, you and Chip Scoggins are going to cover this from his perspective in more detail and put out an actual list. But just for the three of us here today, what is your favorite Vikings game you've ever been to in person or covered as a media member, where you were there watching it?
There's a bunch for me, but I'm going to go back to one when I was a 10-year-old fan at Met Stadium when Rashad caught the Hail Mary pass from Tommy Kramer, and the stadium absolutely shook, and it clinched a playoff spot for a Vikings team that wasn't that good. But that was the first time in my life where I had seen pandemonium. It was pandemonium. People were going nuts. I mean, this pass was just incredible. And so just from a fan perspective, I mean, that helped sort of shape these, oh my God, you don't see this much. The miracle then, things like that. That was my first experience with what I would consider a miraculous sports moment. So I've covered a lot of cool things. I've seen a lot of cool things as a reporter, but I think as a 10-year-old kid, that left a lasting impression that I will take with me to my grave.
My first ever Vikings game wasn't actually, I think it's actually the only Vikings game I've ever been to as a fan. I've only been to one Vikings game as a fan in my life. Wow. But it was in 2007, and it was against the Oakland Raiders, and it was Dante Culpepper's first game back against the Vikings in his career after leaving in 2005. This was a weird game. So Dante's first game back, so there's some lore there. He got sacked 6 different times by the Williams wall. He had a safety against him. And the first play of the game was a Sidney Rice bomb to Visante Shenko for 60 yards to set the tone. So it was just I think even Andre Allison may have returned a kick. It was just the wackiest game ever, and it's the only game I've ever been to as a fan. It's extremely obscure and random, but it's the only game I've been to from a fan perspective. From the media side, I was at the Miracle, which was obviously insane. But one I really, really enjoyed, which was, I think, actually Mike Zimmer's one of his finest works that we don't talk about enough, was when in 2017, in the 13-3 season, was when the Rams came, and it was Zimmer's number 1 defense against McVay's number 1 offense, and Zimmer put on a clinic against a young Sean McVay and held the number 1 offense in the league to just a pedestrian day. And it was just an awesome experience to watch, defensive-minded Zimmer at his peak, going to school against this young coach who, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, McVay's turned into being one of the best coaches in the NFL. But at the time, old man Zimmer was able to scheme up a great defensive scheme to stop the number 1 offense.
Yeah. So I've got 2 of them, and much like Declan, I think 99.9% of the Vikings games I've been to, I've sat in the press box as a working member of the media. The only time I can remember going to a game and not sitting in the press box watching it was a Warren Moon Vikings game against the Jets in like 1994 or 1995 or something. It was they got smoked
94.
like 31-10 or 31-17.
Yeah, it was 94.
Okay.
I remember it.
Yeah, it was bad. I think Boomer Esiason was the Jets quarterback potentially in that game.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Chris Carter kind of emerging as one of the best receivers in the NFL, but the two most memorable games for me, my two most favorite, 2007, and Jubb was at both these games too, covering, sitting a couple seats down from me. Adrian Peterson breaking the rushing record against the Chargers. So at halftime, the crazy thing about that game was going to be Antonio Cromartie returned, was it a kickoff or a missed field goal?
Missed field goal.
A missed field goal, like 109 yards for a touchdown.
Yes.
He caught it with his heels in the back of the end zone and then ran it back to give the Chargers, I think, the lead going into halftime, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And that was going to be the big story is, oh my God, the Vikings are crapping themselves, and Cromartie just housed a missed field goal 109 yards. And then Adrian Peterson came out for the second half and ran for, 230 or 200, or what was the record?
96.
And he had 60 or 65 yards at halftime.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he ran for like 230 yards in the second half of that game.
And Childress had to be told to put him back in to break it.
Yeah.
Brad had lifted him.
Because Brad
didn't know.
Pays no attention to details.
I think Bobby Hagan called down and told the sideline, you got to get him back in there.
Yeah. Amazing. And then the other one, it's one of the 2 or 3 loudest crowd pops I've ever heard inside a stadium when Brett Favre found Greg Lewis in the back right corner of the end zone against the Niners. And the context was important there too, because this is the third game of the season. The first 2 games had not gone that well from a passing standpoint.
He managed the games.
Yeah, it was like
Cleveland
Peterson
and
ran for $180 and 3 against Cleveland, and then they beat Detroit
on the road.
And then you're 3.5 quarters into the third game. It's like, Brett Favre might be cooked. I think people were thinking, this isn't what we thought we were getting. And then he rolls out to his right, dodges a defender, pulling the football over a defender's head, and throws a perfect pass, and Greg Lewis catches it. And I remember jumping out of my seat just in shock, like, whoa, and then trying to see, did he come down with it?
Yep.
And it's the loudest pop ever, and people just celebrating and the joyousness, and then the Vikings were off to the races from that point. I think that throw gave Brett Favre a little more confidence in that, I am still the gunslinger, and it was smooth sailing until the NFC Championship game for the most part.
And Greg Lewis to make that catch, and I believe the only reason he had gone in that game was Percy had run a route the play before and was absolutely gassed. I think he might have come out, or he didn't run. Like, he just stood there. And that catch, that ball is coming in at like 100 miles per hour, and that is a phenomenal catch. So the story was, after the first 2 games, it was Brett Favre is doing a magnificent job of managing the game. Yeah. Like, this is what they need. Peterson's their star. They don't really need classic Brett. And I think Favre saw that, and Favre's like, screw you guys.
Classic Brett's still sitting in here.
Yep.
That's right.
But the coolest game I have ever been at, I think, is actually the Raiders-Packers game the night after Favre's dad died. The Monday night game.
Yeah.
That is one where, you had chills the entire game. Guys were catching passes they had
He was just throwing footballs up in the air.
Javon Walker was triple covered at one point and caught a touchdown pass. Wesley Walls, who was like 100 years old, made a really nice catch. It was like the weirdest, most spiritual, just weird. Yeah. And everything, and these fans in Oakland who are just crazy black hole fans, right? They're like giving Favre a standing ovation.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing I've seen.
Yeah, that's amazing. Judd covered the Packers beat for a couple of years and got to see even more Brett Favre on the other side of the fence. So we're at halftime right now of 4-Question Friday. So let's shout out our friends at Equity Partners. Our guy Ryan, who is one of the owners of Equity Partners, big Purple fan, Purple Daily, definitely one of us. And we'd love to spread the message about his company, Equity Partners, which really helps you with the moving process, the selling process in a bunch of different ways. For one, When you partner with them, they will handle from simple fixes up to total remodels, the process of maximizing the value of your home. And this might be the biggest benefit. You can move before you sell. You don't have to worry about lining up. Okay, we got to sell the house on this date so that we can move into the house. It's all very complicated. There's no dealing with showings and all that hassle. You can put in an offer on your next home, non-contingent on the sale of your current one. Just a huge, huge relief when you work with Equity Partners. 100% hassle-free is how they classify the house selling process when you work with them. EquityPartnersMN.com. That's EquityPartnersMN.com. Also, boys, it's the summer of Surly, and the 4th of July weekend is sort of the peak of summer, right? So this is the peak of the summer of Surly this weekend.
Exactly right. And how do you celebrate this? Well, it's obvious. You celebrate it with a Surly, and there's so many choices. You've got the Supremes, which is just a case full of fantastic, delicious beer. You've got the Logic Bomb. Of course, my personal favorite will always be the Furious. But no matter how you choose to celebrate this 4th of July, of course, drink responsibly, but also make sure that you embrace the summer of Surly. And then as you're out there on your boat, on your pontoon, wherever you are on the beach, you know what? We want to see your cans. Show us your cans at JZolgad, at Score North on Twitter. We will reply. We love to see everybody enjoying Surly just as much as we do right here on the show.
All right, boys. Question number 3 here. Judd found this. We love when mock drafts come out far in advance. It's one of my favorite things here. So this one is from ESPN.com's Matt Miller. It's a 2023 mock draft for all 32 first-round picks. And the question is, what do you think of this? What do you think of where the Vikings are picking, and what do you think of who they're picking? So he says the order of the picks is based on ESPN's Football Power Index. Power. It's like their analytical sort of rankings. I think they've got the Vikings around 9 wins this season, which means they're picking 21st. So they'd be a playoff team, right?
Yeah,
they'd be sneaking into the playoffs. Okay, as a wild card team, most likely. So he's got 6 quarterbacks in the first round. He's got, let's see here, who's the first quarterback off the board? Wow, none in the top 3. That ain't going to happen. He's got C.J. Stroud 5th to the Falcons. He's got Bryce Young to the Panthers at 7. Will Levis from Kentucky going to the Lions at 8. Jaron Hall, quarterback BYU to the Seahawks. But let's get to the Vikings at 21 here, where this ESPN.com mock has them taking Josh Downs, a wide receiver from North Carolina.
I want a mock!
And the write-up says, how much longer will Adam Thielen be the running mate to Justin Jefferson? It might be time to start building out the wide receiver room, and Downs has the quickness and hands to be that guy. Not the biggest wideout. He's only 5'10", 180 pounds. But he had 101 catches for 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns last year, with all but one of his receptions coming when he was lined up in the slot. It'd be a great fit with Justin Jefferson.
I find this whole thing intriguing. I find it very interesting that clearly their index thinks that the Vikings are going to be a playoff team, sneaking into the playoffs much like the Eagles did, I would guess, in the conference last season. I don't, on the surface, love this at first, but the more I think about it, if they are picking 21st, and it's, you know, as Jefferson said last week, we are no longer a run-first offense, and you're going to add to an arsenal. And like if Thielen gets hurt again or something, it's going to be time to probably start to look at options. The more I grew to warm to it just a bit. Like at first I was like, wide receiver, really? But then, you know, things are changing. I guess I'm still having problems getting my head around at times that this is going to be a completely different scheme. And the philosophy on personnel is probably going to change. So I need to stop being like, well, don't do that because it's going to change.
I think my biggest X's and O's question here would be, this guy has been almost exclusively a slot receiver at 5'10", 180 pounds.
Sure.
Now, Justin Jefferson caught like 30% of his passes out of the slot last year. Cooper Kupp was kind of flip-flop. Cooper Kupp was like 70% out of the slot. And we're trying to figure out to what extent are the Vikings going to try to use Justin Jefferson in the same way? Is he going to be in the slot a lot more? But I guess my point is the ability to move Jefferson around outside slot is going to be a really valuable thing for this offense. If you're going to draft a wide receiver, I would hope that wide receiver is going to be versatile and where you can line him up. If he can only play slot, even if he's amazing at it, does it limit what you can do with Justin Jefferson? Does it kind of handcuff your offense in your creativity? I don't know. Or maybe they can line him up outside once in a while, but he's only 5'10".
Right.
He might be going up against 6'1" cornerbacks. Might be tough for him to catch some of those patterns along the sidelines. I don't know. I don't know if I love this.
I don't hate it. I mean, you need as many weapons as you possibly can. And they make a good point. Thielen's up there in age. I mean, KJ Osborne's a nice receiver, but unless he really ascends, like, you need depth. You need more people in your wide receiver room. So I'm definitely not against them taking a wide receiver in the first round next year. I think it would help the offense.
Okay. All right. So listen the strong opinions we have on a guy we've literally never heard of.
You know what, though?
Right now.
You give me mock drafts on June 30th, and I'm embracing that mock draft.
Let's get it. Let's get it. All right. And then my final question here for you guys on this 4-question Friday. I want your holiday power rankings, okay? I just want 4. Give me your 4 favorite holidays in order. And does the 4th of July fall on that list for you?
Thanksgiving's my one. I love Thanksgiving. It's the start
Football
of
and food, man.
Football and food, and it's the start. Like, by Christmas, I continue to say this. I'm just done. It's too much time off, too much time. I love the start of like that. That week is just, to me, it's glorious. Thanksgiving is just so clearly cut.
So Thanksgiving, you're not burnt out from it all yet.
Right, exactly. By Christmas, I am literally burnt out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just tired of everyone. They're all in food comas. Christmas Day, I do like, but it's just the lead up where, to your point, Thanksgiving, I love the lead up to Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So Thanksgiving's my one. Oh, boy, after that, I'm not a big holiday guy.
Just Thanksgiving.
I really like
and
Thanksgiving,
that's it. Judd's like Thanksgiving and Random Tuesdays are his favorite. His favorite.
Taco Tuesday.
What's wrong with that?
Libya sponsored.
Feedback Friday. It's not a holiday. It's a segment on
Taco
Mackie
Tuesday
and
is
Judd.
good. Sunday, football season. It's a holiday. Dex,
Week
go ahead,
7
Dex.
is Judd's third favorite holiday.
I really don't have that many favorites.
I'm going to pull a Zolgad here and nitpick the just a very clear black and white question. Are we allowed to have Christmas and Christmas Eve as its own thing, or are they
Yes.
are they
can be separate
okay.
things. They can be separate things.
But can they be looped as one? Can they be looped as one day? Is that fine?
I'll allow it. It's a 20. It can be a 24-hour period.
Okay.
Like
'Cause I just
6 p.m. Christmas Eve
Yeah.
into
I love Christmas Eve and I love Christmas Day, and both of them, I think, just because they're on back-to-back days, I can't really rank one higher than the other. I loop them as one. I love, and I'm a big Christmas guy. I'm not the Grinch over there on the right. I
I
love
said I like
Christmas.
Christmas Day. I hate the lead up. I'm tired of it.
Oh, I love
It's
it. Christmas
overkill by
movies. I watched Love Actually on Netflix on last. That's what I did on my last Friday night. I watched a little Christmas in June movie. I was ready for it. We were halfway to Christmas. I'm all about it. Christmas is 1 for me. Thanksgiving is 2. 4th of July is 3rd. I like 4th of July. It's fine. It's not as fun as the other two have fun of it. I don't appreciate it as much as I do with Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then my second Zolgadian part of this, I am putting MLB opening day as a holiday. I love MLB opening day. It is a fresh start. It means spring and summer is here. It is legitimately one of the number one thing on the sports calendar year I look forward to the most. So I'm putting MLB opening day as a holiday. So Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, MLB opening day.
Okay. So I like holidays that signify warm weather and drinking. So 4th of July is always my number one. And then Memorial Day, kind of depending on the weather pattern, but usually by Memorial Day, you're pretty safe weather-wise. So just a couple of great American holidays. Just a little beer in your hand. Hopefully the sun is shining. All right. Then I'm going to go Christmas Day. I just kind of love kicking back. Again, you can day drink on Christmas too. It's great.
Christmas Day is fun. Knicks game.
Just get a buzz going at 7:30 in the morning with some eggnog and continue it forward.
5 basketball games. And
All-time
now
nap day. Dude.
sports
Great
is doing
nap.
good too now because football finally said, screw that.
Yeah, you
We're
guys are
taking
playing.
Christmas Day too.
For sure.
We're
Yeah.
playing as well, so I love that.
And then Thanksgiving's got to make it too. You know, it's just overindulge a little bit, and maybe we like to go to restaurants on Thanksgiving. Last year we did some cooking last year, but we
Love that.
we like to
the
pop
first
in and
time
have
last
other
year.
people do it for us.
Yes.
What'd you think, Dex?
I liked it.
I love it.
It was well. So I did a little bit of both. I went to my aunt's during like the early afternoon, morning, because we used to do like a movie marathon over there, and then we'd like do something. So I got my Thanksgiving like classic fix of the turkey and the stuffing, potatoes and everything. But because we went to Kincaid's, which is more like known for a steakhouse than it is like being a turkey and Thanksgiving place. So I got a steak on Thanksgiving night, which was a little strange, but I'm not gonna fight getting a New York strip steak at any time of the day or any time of the year. So I liked it. I think I would do it again.
I enjoy turkey, but if you could give me everything on the Thanksgiving plate, give me the stuffing, give me the gravy, give me the sweet potatoes, and just swap out the slab of turkey for a New York strip.
Absolutely.
Thanksgiving buffets at good restaurants are outstanding.
Never
no
done
cleanup.
Never done a buffet.
It's delicious. A good one. Oh, because they got everything. They got a little bit of steak. They got the turkey. They got the potatoes. They got everything. It's
Judd
expensive, but it is fantastic.
Judd here for Thanksgiving buffet.
And again,
That's right.
And again,
Judd
you do
here
not
for
have
gluttony.
to clean. You do not have to clean, and you don't have to clean a thing. I love that
hate
too.
dishes, so yeah,
I
would
love that. You know what I've said? The thing that drives me nuts, and this goes back to like my mom and before her. What's the deal with having nice silverware
Okay,
on
Seinfeld.
Christmas?
Yeah.
What's
Calm
the deal
down,
with
Jerry.
that?
Come on, Jerry.
What's the nice?
What's
you know
going
what?
on with the
Why
silverware?
can't we have paper plates and plastic silverware?
Another thing.
We could just throw it away. Just tell people to throw it away. I don't understand.
We don't
Why do
need
we have to-
China.
Who
They
decided?
give us the silverware.
Who decided that we had to have nice? And why are we breaking out stuff that's been in a cabinet collecting dust? That's disgusting too.
Right.
Just use paper plates and plastic silverware and tell your guests, if you're unfortunate enough to have company, to throw it away.
Dude, we have become minimalists in a lot of ways. You know, my wife and I, we are silverware minimalists. We have like 6 forks. We're probably
Wow.
never going to have more than, well,
We have a ton.
and then
of
we have
forks.
7 people this weekend. So we might need one. We might need to go buy a fork somewhere.
And you
Or
can do
someone
that.
can just eat with their hands. We got like 6 plates.
Paper plates for you,
Some
Interesting.
bowls. No.
Phil.
No.
Oh,
I have
so
it a-
you wash what you have. Okay.
I have an absurd amount of glasses, and so does Kelsey. So we have like an entire drawer. There's like 3 dozens different lowball, highball,
Feels
other types
unnecessary.
of glasses. I kind of like the glass.
We've
option.
got too many glasses too.
I like the
use
glasses.
2.
I will say
got
we
2 I
have
use.
6 times as many glasses as we do any other type of silverware.
See?
Dawn
Which might
buys
say
these-
something about our lifestyle.
Dawn likes to buy glasses sometimes. And it's like, why did you buy that? I don't even like that glass. Like, give me 2. I've got 2 beer
Yeah, your
mugs I
input.
use. That's it.
Yeah, do we need a china cabinet for stuff we're not
No.
going to
Yeah.
use ever?
But again,
It's just-
I'm calling for holidays to use paper plates and plastic silverware so that everybody. Why do you want to create more work? Like, is there anything more depressing than stacked up dishes, especially from guests?
no, I can't think of anything in
I
the
hate
world
it.
that's more depressing than
It's a very
stacked up
depressing
dishes.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a very
I
depressing
hate
thing.
dishes. It's my least favorite chore in the entire earth.
I enjoy cleaning them for the
Ugh.
household, but not for people from
God.
outside my household.
Well, hopefully you guys enjoy this daily Vikings entertainment here on Purple Daily. Also presented in part by Federated Insurance. So the Federated Insurance has helped raise $44 million for Big Brothers Big Sisters since 2005. And you can find out more at federatedchallenge.org about how Big Brothers Big Sisters offers children facing adversity one-to-one professionally supported mentoring relationships. You want to become a big yourself? You can also find out information at federatedchallenge.org. All right. Enjoy your 4th of July weekend. We do have a couple fun sort of archived throwback Purple Rewind episodes we think you guys are going to enjoy, including some more Brett Favre stories on one of them. Our audience seems to love Brett Favre stories from
Who doesn't?
2009,
yeah.
2010.
Great character.
So enjoy those over the weekend. Declan will hit you up with a little vent line as well. The daily Vikings entertainment rolls on through this holiday weekend. See you guys.